Hello and
You didn't clap.
Sorry.
Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon. Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and today we're reviewing this week's Go Home Survivor Series episodes of both Raw and Smackdown, including an emotional title change, Raw invading Smackdown, and so much more. If you want to go straight to any of those bits, click the timestamps in the video description below, or stay right here, where we're going to get into everyone's new favourite segment, where we talk about stuff we've done wrong in the last episode, Great Balls of Botch.
Or Botch at the Beach.
Botch at the Beach was good.
Yep.
I like Botch Lash.
Botch Lash is good, especially because it ties into the joke that we have that every pay-per-view, not WrestleMania or one of the big four, is Backlash.
I get a kick out of every time we make a joke about the next thing being Backlash. Someone, at least two people, different people probably, will comment in the comment section and say, it's not Backlash, it's enter correct name of pay-per-view here.
Yeah, it's Roadblock. End of the line.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to explain the joke. I want to continually confuse
Which is
people.
Very different from you because you love explaining jokes.
Yeah, I think that sometimes makes them awkwardly funny. But, you know, I got quite excited in this week's Smackdown. Like, front 4 rows, there was a Swaft Nation sign.
It certainly
you are
was.
represented on WWE TV.
What a hero.
Yeah.
What an absolute hero.
We don't know who you are. Thank you so much for doing that. But I was so excited, and so many people sent us photos, and I saw it myself in the show. And then I thought, everyone else is going to think they spelt the word soft wrong.
Yeah.
Twice. Because, of course, you S-O-F-T, S-A-W-F-T,
Yep.
S-W-A-F-T. Like Matthew of Botchamania once did.
He certainly did. He did not know that we have actually created a wrestling movement. That's, but, you know, it's a very small movement.
Yeah, but it was represented. So, into Great Balls of Botch, one day we will get a flashy graphic of just a huge flaming ball whacking into our face.
Is that last one a botch?
Well, I'm just gonna... It's both botches and viewer feedback.
Okay,
I
fair
lump
enough.
it all into one.
That's fair enough. Okay.
So thank you, Xavier Hinton, for pointing out that Neville might actually be making his way back to WWE after PW Insider reported that about an hour before our video, our WrestleRamble video about Neville potentially leaving went up.
Yeah, there's times when we do news stories or news episodes that you've got to remember that we might not actually be around to read the news, or it goes up after news has broken. So sometimes news, you know, it's a little bit more... It's a bit difficult to stay on topic because it takes us a while to record these, longer to edit,
Yes.
and then longer to export and longer to upload.
Yeah, this episode, because Raw and Smackdown episodes take the longest, we actually recorded several weeks ago.
Yes.
And we're just very good at predicting things.
We use a soothsayer to predict the future, and then we report on it. That's how long it takes us.
She says she's never seen anyone like Vince McMahon. She cannot read the guy.
No.
Lambo220384, that's obviously his birthday, writes, isn't it just NXT TakeOver War Games? We thought it was NXT TakeOver Houston, but of course it's been renamed this year.
Yeah, and I think we thought it was Houston because the usual protocol is just to name it after the city you're in. But yeah, it's War Games this year. I didn't know that was the name.
I can't wait for NXT TakeOver screwed it up.
Great
Hog
Balls of
Wild. There we go. AJ Jeffers writes, hashtag, trying to get a new hashtag trending, push naughty Luke.
I'm assuming this is from when I swore.
We have a strict, clean, no swearing policy here on WrestleTalk because viewers of all ages watch this. And yeah, Luke dropped
I just dropped a bomb, dropped an S-bomb.
Damien Shorver here writes, yo, Ollie's buff.
I'm not sure why
Don't know why that's in there.
That made it into the Great Balls of Botch somehow.
That's not a botch.
No.
That's just a fact. And yes, I have been working out more recently. Thank you for noticing.
You're part of Team Get Better.
That's me and my girlfriend's private club that you're not meant to talk about. We're trying to go to the gym a lot more, and we get a reward at the end of each month if we hit our targets. We're like a sales team. That's how I run my household, like a sales team.
Or like me at work.
Yeah.
I get a little reward.
And Exotic Mods HD says Riley Reid is a female.
Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
Raw this week kicked off with Stephanie McMahon coming out like she'd never left and dressing down Kurt Angle immediately. Doesn't matter if it's Mick Foley, Kurt Angle, every babyface you're trying to build up on the roster, Stephanie McMahon is going to she always, and she starts building you up, going like, Kurt, you're amazing. You've selected such a good team, but just one more thing, like Columbo style.
Yeah.
And that made Kurt look particularly bad. And it's fine to make Kurt look bad, but let Kurt say something back.
Yeah, and that's always been Steph's problem, is that she doesn't let anyone get one up on her. She's very good at her gimmick, but it is the worst gimmick. And, I mean, this might not be breaking news, but she might have the worst entrance music in WWE right now.
I cannot stand it.
It is horrendously awful.
But I don't know if that's because it's bad music or because I associate it with Stephanie's going to dress down my favourite people. It's like a Pavlovian response. And you bring up a good point, though. Stephanie as a character and a performer is incredible. She's such a good promo. The problem is, so was her dad, one of the best heels of all time, but he let, probably 60% of everything the other guy got, the babyface got against Vince.
Yeah.
Even the heel, he gave so much to Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
But Stephanie it's like 99% her, 1% she's occasionally pushed into a big mud bath.
Well, exactly. She got put through a table, but Seth didn't put her through the table. Triple H put her through the table.
She came out. She sort of, but it was a nice story they told. I like that it was logical reasoning. Where look, John Cena is a free agent in WWE. And you picked Jason Jordan, Kurt.
Yeah, that was nice.
And now Shane has picked John Cena to be on Team SmackDown. What the hell have you done? That was a moment of logic I really, really liked.
She had an amazing line during this spiel where she just said, and I quote, "Don't you know what's on the line?" And I paused and I went, "No, actually, I don't. I don't know what's on the line. What is on the line?"
It's the one time a year when... bragging rights, but of course Kurt Angle's job as well. Did you forget this?
I genuinely did forget this, actually, yeah. But I don't think that's what she was referring to, because then she followed it up with, "My brother Shane wants to take down Raw." So for her, the point that she was making was not Kurt Angle's job is on the line.
Yeah, because it's not about our favourite wrestlers, it's about the McMahons.
Yeah.
Now, this brought out The Shield, who Roman Reigns making his WWE return for, it's got to be about 3 weeks. I don't think it's quite as long as 4. Because it was the go-home show to TLC.
Yes, it would be, because, I've been married now for it's nearly 3 weeks. Yeah,
that's how you date it.
Well, yeah, because I had my mini stag do with my dad and my father-in-law the day they announced that Roman Reigns is off the show. And that was the week before the wedding. So, yeah, it's about 3 or 4 weeks.
You see, you've got a New Year Zero for you.
Yeah.
I still go back to WrestleMania. That's how, it's like this, because I'm not in a school academic year anymore. It's WrestleMania to WrestleMania. I'm working on a WWE year schedule. So the Shield come out, and Dean and Seth don't really get anything in, which is kind of aggravating considering Seth's history with Stephanie and the McMahons and the Authority.
But it was all in his facials, because there's a great moment where Roman was like, because Stephanie was like, "Where have you been?" And he was like, "More to the point, where have you been? Last time we saw you were put through a table." And Seth in the background is doing this.
Yeah, but
so good.
That was funny, but it's not what the Shield should be doing. Like, the Shield, for me, shouldn't be
wacky,
goofing off like that. But that was a money line from Roman, and Roman cut a good promo here. He was getting cheered by the crowd.
Roman was awesome here. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Just don't give him too much dialogue. Just keep his lines short and snappy, and he was just like, "Where have you been?" And it was great. Got such a great reaction.
And it made, I felt like, oh yeah, this is what the big dog should be. You keep telling me he's a big dog, and it seems like an empty phrase, but no, he's ruling this yard. He just schooled Stephanie McMahon, and everyone's kind of looking up to him, even Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very good. And they announced that they're going to challenge the New Day for a Survivor Series match. So Reigns is cleared. He's good to go. And yeah,
and I'm
happy.
The match was sort of accepted in the show, but they didn't show a graphic to say that it had been accepted. I thought the New Day would put out a tweet saying
they did immediately.
Did they?
Yeah, all 3 of them were like, "We accept it."
But they didn't put it up on screen.
No, they didn't.
Which would surprise me, because they love doing that sort of thing.
240 characters, man. It's too long to put on a screen.
Is that what it is? It's 280 characters.
Sorry. So
you don't go on Twitter enough.
No. First up, we had Bayley beating Mickie James and Dana Brooke.
And the returning Paige?
And no, the returning Paige.
But she was seen in Atlanta.
It was Sunday night. She was seen there.
Things.
She was photographed. Well, you're being glib. when PW Insider and the Wrestling Observer are not only saying she's there backstage, but that they have plans to bring her out.
I'm not saying it's you.
I get excited. But, for every one of these, that, all the speculation, right? And then I'm like, you know what? Actually, that piece of speculation is too far. There's no way they're dropping the gender experiment and giving it to AJ. Didn't talk about any of the speculation or rumours. What happens? That happens.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to talk about any such nonsense all the time now.
However, I will partake in the speculation game when it comes to Paige a little bit later on.
I think I know where you're going with Natalia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, Bayley, as we've said, this was the qualifying match for the final place. And you had the 4 Raw women out there. So, Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Asuka. And what did you think about having Asuka just standing out there?
Just making her look like one of the Raw women?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't overly keen on it.
Because it wasn't bad, but it could have been so much better if the commentary team were putting over, where's Asuka? And then Corey Graves is like, she is a wild card. She's not gonna, bow down to Alicia Fox of all people. Like, she's a renegade. And then maybe just have Asuka walk out at the end. Dana, walk into the ring. Dana Brooke's like, what are you doing here? Boom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a badass.
Like, the way to book Asuka, as you did when you were in NXT, is treat her like the female Brock Lesnar. And if you had Brock Lesnar in this role, you wouldn't have had Lesnar standing out there.
No,
because that's not what Lesnar does.
It's like, it's there's a level above the sort of stuff that everybody else does. There was a reason AJ Styles didn't get involved in the SmackDown Raw invasion.
Or Orton.
Because AJ, well, I think Orton should have been, but AJ is, he is in the Lesnar bracket at the moment, so it's a wiser choice to not have him out there, even though it's the house AJ Styles built, and he's had a home invasion, and he's not run out with a baseball bat.
And he was there.
Yeah, we knew he was there. I was on Reddit, and everyone was like, where was Orton in the thing? Echoing my concerns. And someone said he was outside vaping.
Nice.
And then someone underneath commented that, the vapor Randy Orton. I was like, God, why didn't I think of that? This was Bayley won. It kind of puts to bed any of the Bayley-Sasha Banks dissension that they seem to be building beforehand.
I don't know, because they were really putting that over on commentary before the match started. Like, they showed a video clip, and they had both Michael Cole and Corey Graves going like, look at Bayley's face in this. Look, like, she's really annoyed about this. So maybe it's just that now Bayley's on the team. Maybe they'll do the dissension, the splits, during the actual match itself. But I'll be honest, the highlight of this match for me was Asuka kicking Dana Brooke in the face.
That was good. Yeah.
So good. I've literally written in my notes, in caps, what a kick.
Yeah, like that bit shouldn't have been changed. It's just Asuka standing outside with everyone in the first place. The Paige stuff, by the way, the sort of speculation and some, I think PW Insider said some sources had said, but didn't say like it's a done deal, that Paige would be the 5th member of Team Raw. But she posted some social media posts backstage earlier in the day giving the game away that she was backstage, and it's thought that might have played into, if they're like, oh, we've got Bayley and we've got Paige, but Paige has kind of ruined the surprise to her 5.4 million Instagram followers or whatever. Let's go with Bayley. Bring back Paige the night after Survivor Series, which also works, I think. But a returning Paige just makes this Survivor Series card even more loaded.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my thing. I may as well say it. Well, do you want to talk about it now, or should we wait till SmackDown?
Let's wait till SmackDown.
Wait till SmackDown.
We'll tease. This is the way we keep people watching.
The problem is they can just click the timestamp.
No, they don't do that. Not at this point. If you're 15 minutes in by this point, you're watching to the end. Then we had Enzo Amore and Drew Gulak beating Akira Tozawa and Kalisto. Enzo and Drew are pretty decent, aren't they?
Drew Gulak is the best. I love it when Enzo shouts, "How are you doing?" And Enzo and Drew just quite calmly says, "I'm doing great. Thanks for asking."
Yeah, it's they're so good together. It's the sort, like, imagine if they were an act. I mean, they are on the main roster, but on the non-cruiserweight roster, and you could put them in a really solid tag team feud with, I don't know, a babyface team.
Well, here's the thing with Raw at the moment. If you include the cruiserweights within this, you've actually got some like teams waiting to happen. You've got Apollo Crews and Akira Tozawa as Titus Worldwide.
Yep.
Like that seemed like they're on a plate, ready to be. That's another team that you can put into this role. You've also got Kendrick and Gallagher as a team. You've got Enzo and Gulak as a team. Like, you've got these little teams that are kind of there, ready.
Lucha Dragons.
The Lucha
Bring
Dragons.
over Sin Cara.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not like Kalisto's really flourishing in 205 Live. So, and then Raw could have an absolutely stacked tag team division.
And just like a stacked mid-card as well, because, Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann, those are guys who could compete in that Intercontinental title mix.
Yeah, and then
it doesn't feel like it because we've been conditioned to see them otherwise.
And you can move some of those teams over to SmackDown if you wanted to try and bolster up, although they have got the greatest tag team in the world debuting next week.
Bludgeon Brothers, of course.
Don't spoil it. We're teasing.
Yeah, Miz, Miz and a Miz Cedric Alexander feud. I don't know why that gets me going so much. Anyway, this was pretty throwaway, though. Although I did enjoy it for the time they had.
I thought it was good fun.
Next up, great segment, building into the Survivor Series go-home stuff. Kurt Angle was backstage with Team Raw. So, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and... Jason Jordan and himself by this point. And he's like, here's some prep matches. Joe and Balor, you were fighting last week, so this week you've got to work together as a team. Love that.
Loved it.
Jason Jordan, you're facing Bray Wyatt. Fine. Okay, that makes weird sense.
Well, I think he said, you need a big test.
Yes.
Because you're about to walk out onto a big stage. So I'm going to put you against the scariest person I've ever met, despite the fact he's been in the ring with The Undertaker. Bray Wyatt.
And Braun Strowman, he starts to talk to Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman just cuts him off and goes, I want Kane.
Samoa Joe's face made this. It was so good, because Samoa was like,
Yeah, give him Kane.
Give him
I
Kane.
think it's best we do what Braun wants. So Kurt was just like, yeah, fine, you've got Kane. Perfect. I mean, WWE don't book everyone fantastically. I think we can agree with that. But what a job they've done with Braun. The only blemish is that Brock Lesnar loss.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that was just more of a match, like the way the match was laid out. Everything else has been fantastic.
Although there was a point, actually, I was recently watching Botchamania where they were covering No Mercy? Backlash?
Yes, it was No Mercy was the Brock Lesnar match.
Wherever they had the match. And there is a point, and Matthew points it out, there's a point when they were apparently meant to do a Kimura spot that Braun would then break out of to kind of add another big moment to the match. And Braun's there waiting for Brock to do it, and Brock just doesn't apply it. And just rolls away and just says, no, I'm not doing it.
What, Brock actually says I'm not doing it?
I don't know if he says the words, I'm not doing it.
His body language
essentially suggests that, no, I'm not doing that spot.
Yeah, I don't want you to destroy my Kimura lock.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Wow.
It's on Botchamania. It's not the latest one. I think it's the one before that.
So next up we had Miz TV, special guest being the Bar. I really like Miz, Cesaro and Sheamus as like a, they're not a faction, but heels back. I love it when heels just band together because they're heels.
And they're the champions, and that makes them brilliant.
Yeah, and it's nice that at the end when they all held up their championship belts, I was like, there's a lot of gold on them. That's nice to see. But the other thing about the heels, banding with heels because they're heels, is no honor among thieves. As soon as Miz needs a favour, like the other week when Braun Strowman was coming back, the Bar just said, we don't know you, man. You're on your own. So I love that relationship. This was fine. Miz said some Baron Corbin stuff. Yeah,
he cut a promo on Baron Corbin, stumbled over his words a little bit, and I really wish they'd just stop having Cesaro cut promos.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he could just be like, just smile with his gum shield.
I said it last week, but Sheamus is good enough to carry the pair of them as the mouthpiece.
I mean, he's got a gum shield in because WWE don't want people to see that he's got braces on.
Right, okay.
I think, Cesaro having braces feels scary. And I'm not talking Andrade Cien Almas braces. Big old suspended braces.
You're talking dental plan.
Yeah,
Lisa needs braces.
Big mental railroad tracks and Cesaro coming at you. That scares me. That puts me on edge. Bit of metal mouth.
To be honest, it would give me Vietnam flashbacks to when I was a teenager and I had to have braces. Did I ever tell you I had proper full-on
headgear
braces? I had top and bottom joined together with the headgear.
For how long?
About a year.
Wow,
it was
really?
A whole piece I had to have in my mouth all day, every day, while I slept. I could only take it out when I was eating.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew, I didn't know they did those over here. I thought that was only an American thing.
No, I mean, I'm one of the only people I know who's ever had to endure that.
It must be quite nice wearing these again, like an old-fashioned...
Again, just feels like Vietnam flashbacks.
Yeah, oh, jeez. That's not... I mean, I've still got a bit of brace, and I've got a
Oh,
retainer.
really?
Yeah, on the back.
Oh,
I had a
interesting.
fang. Like, I had pretty okay teeth, apart from this one tooth. Just came out horizontally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Wasn't always this attractive. The next up we had Jason Jordan.
To all those people in the comments that say I have a really bad overbite. Imagine how bad it could have been.
Hey, have we both got bad overbites?
I don't know.
My chin's pretty receding.
Yeah.
This isn't entertaining for people. This is just us chatting again. Jason Jordan beat Bray Wyatt next. This was Bray Wyatt's WWE return for the first time. And you know what? I don't think Bray Wyatt was buried here. I actually thought by the end of the match, everyone looked better.
It's hard to bury someone when you get a surprise roll-up.
Yeah.
Like Bray he wasn't beat, convincingly. It was a surprise roll-up out of nowhere. He was just caught off guard. That to me is not a burial.
Yeah.
And, he completely laid him out. It's one of the things where, neither person gets over because it's a snip on a banana peel win and then their heel destroys them afterwards. So they're both still at the same level they were when they walked in. But at the same time, at least Bray wasn't knocked down a peg.
Yeah, and I think the actual match leading up to it was pretty 50-50. If anything, sometimes Bray was getting the better of him. That was Luke's mug hitting the microphone.
So I got my Lemsip.
Lemsip because he's still ill. I just thought when Bray Wyatt beat up Jason Jordan after the match, he had this big grin on his face. The crowd, not the intended crowd reaction, were chanting, "Thank you, Wyatt," or something to that effect, because they don't want to see Jason Jordan. When Jason Jordan's knee was injured, kayfabe, and he was being helped out, they did the bye-bye song.
Yeah.
I just thought Bray Wyatt looked good here.
Do you know what I think it is? I mean, he looked like Bray Wyatt, but because the last time we saw him, he was Sister Abigail. We're like, oh, brilliant. There's no mention of Sister Abigail whatsoever. That has just completely been dropped. It's just that we can now treat that like a bad dream. Like JR waking up in the shower. Oh, no, it wasn't him that woke
Jim
up in the
Ross.
shower. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jim Ross wakes up in the shower. It's like, good God almighty, Sister Abigail.
So I've just got an image of Jim Ross in the shower. It's quite distracting.
It's not water, though. It's just barbecue sauce.
Just lathering himself.
With his hat still on.
Yeah, of course. And cowboy boots. I'm putting too much thought into the image. Bray, and Finn, because they were just stuck together for so long.
Yep.
And as soon as they're apart, everyone's like, they're not boring or bad promos. I really like Finn. I really like Bray. I really like Bray. I hope they've got something for him after Survivor Series.
So do I. There was a great moment when Jordan pinned Bray Wyatt. Booker T just shouted, "What?" It really made me laugh.
Top commentary. I've got one for that later. So Bray Wyatt takes out Jordan's knee. Jordan's helped backstage. In the medical room, he's like, my knee. And Kurt comes in and says, this looks bad for Survivor Series if you're injured. And Jordan just starts to look mortified, sort of clocking on. I can still compete. And Kurt has what I've written down here as trepidation face.
I hope that's the next figure that Mattel released for Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle, now with trepidation face.
And if you get the exclusive mobile phone that you can put in his hand, and he can have trepidation face looking at a mobile phone.
Oh, do you reckon they'll do, in 10 years' time, when the Mattel are looking for the next series of classic figures to do, they'll do big secret reveal Kurt Angle, where he's in his suit with mobile phone accessory.
I'd buy it.
Lawsuit or documents and stuff. Oh, that'd be great.
Corey Graves looking concerned next to him.
It's a 2-pack.
Yeah. Defining moments.
Corey Graves also with mobile phone accessory and walking off ability.
No one looking at each other. Okay, next up we had one of the my favourite parts of the show actually, which was Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Of course, Paul Heyman cuts an excellent promo. I think Brock Lesnar's doing some form of Movember or no shave November because he had Brock can grow a beard. Do you remember his UFC beard?
Yeah, absolutely. Big huntsman beard.
Yeah, you're not scary enough already. Don't go clean shaven. But Paul Heyman, his promo was structured around 5 reasons you should order the WWE Network. And, that sounds, in anyone else's hands, that would have been a horrible sales pitch.
You should put that in Michael Cole's hands.
Yeah, but Heyman just makes it sound so natural, and he really built up the idea of AJ's speed being better than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And the following night, Daniel Bryan did the same, but with AJ's mental toughness. And I thought, they are doing a really good job, considering they've only had a week build, to give a lot of context and story to this completely random matchup.
As I've written here, wouldn't this have been great if it was 4 weeks ago? Because then you could have just built on all of this. But yeah, with just 1 week, they've done an amazing job. And the fact that when Lesnar was out, there was dueling chants for Lesnar and AJ, it was the right call.
Yeah, but here we go, my favourite part. During the promo, I think it was around number 2, the crowd got this...
Before 3.
It was before 3. The crowd got distracted. And it was obviously because someone was proposing to their girlfriend in the crowd.
Could have been boyfriend.
Or boyfriend, yes. Someone was proposing to someone. People were proposing. And, someone tweeted us and was like, why do it here?
Yeah.
Like, what do
of
they...
all times to do it.
What's their foreplay like? They watch old Paul Heyman promos. And, but the Brock cottoned on what was happening before Paul. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And he was like, he gave a thumbs up to the person on the crowd. Brock's obviously as bored as sometimes we get in Raw, and not paying attention to what Heyman's saying, just slightly adjusting the belt.
He doesn't need to listen.
No.
He could just bounce around, just make sure the belt doesn't fall off his shoulder, look intimidating.
Yeah. Oh, the crowd are cheering for applause. This is where I smile.
Yeah.
And Paul stopped because everyone was going, she said yes, and then Paul Heyman leans out of the ring and says, the only reason she said yes is because she's never been in the ring with a beast like Brock Lesnar.
So good. And considering that moment of someone, and it was clearly someone proposing to his girlfriend, that could have derailed a segment. But Paul Heyman is so good that everyone was focused back on him again.
Yeah.
He's so good at manipulating the crowd.
And it's genuine as well. When we went to watch Rev Pro last Thursday and Friday, there's so much interaction with the crowd. You get the crowd into it, whereas WWE feels so contained within the barricade, and there's no interaction with fans. So when something breaks through like that, and it feels like we're a part of it, I love those bits. I wish there was more.
It's like old wrestling games where you can't actually get into the crowd.
Yeah.
It's just there's an invisible wall there.
We are just 2D people that sort of disintegrate when you go through them.
Just cardboard figures.
And when Brock got out the ring, he just shook a kid's hand.
Oh no, it was so out of character. It was so weird. It was so weird. He just all right, and shook his hand. I was like, who's that kid?
I don't know. Maybe it was a Make-A-Wish thing from before. But yeah, there you go.
I know.
It felt real.
Yeah.
I don't mind bits when they're like that. So next up we had The Miz and The Bar versus The Shield. The battle of the definitive objects here. Lots of it's like a band name contest from the mid-noughties. Where the Sums.
Very good. There was, I don't know if your Booker T line was...
Yes, it's here.
Is it the same that I've got where he's talking about no one being on the same page?
Uh-huh.
Good. This derailed the commentary for the match. Because Booker T, for whatever reason, was just like, Raw's in a state, man. No one is on the same page. And Michael Cole and Corey Graves are like, what are you talking about? None of the men in the ring are involved in the 5-on-5 match. And actually, looking at Team Raw at the moment, they all do seem to be on the same page.
Yeah. Booker T is he's chatting nonsense.
Yeah.
He's
making up storylines in his own head.
Yeah, and then hoping people are going to support him.
It's like what you do when you're watching a film that you don't like.
Yeah, make a better one. But this is a good, WWE, the last 3 weeks has been very, very good.
Very good.
I was going to save this to the end, but I think this is the best run of WWE programming for the whole of 2017.
Could not agree more.
Yeah, which actually, for a whole year period.
Yeah.
Because it...
Not school year period, but
because last December and November were pretty bad.
Yeah.
So this was a very good match, though. I really enjoyed it. It's, I guess the Shield stuff was put off. This was the Shield reunion that we never got at TLC. So that, it is something you could have built up to for Survivor Series. The match where they finally get together is against the New Day. So from that perspective, I would have saved it. But I did really enjoy the match.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I really like this. Although my notes do consist of just shut up Booker. And then there was a moment where Miz ran away into the crowd, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool spot. Went to commercial break, came back, Miz is there.
Yeah.
And he's in control. And I was like, oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
Corey Graves, even on commentary, was like, what a cowardly move the Miz just did there. And he come back from commentary, and Corey Graves like, I changed my mind, it was a brilliant move.
Yeah.
Odd spot.
And Reigns finally got to hit a triple powerbomb on the Miz after it feels so long ago. There was about 3 weeks where the Bar and Miz were hitting triple powerbombs every week.
This was a very chaotic ending, but I loved it.
Kane had a backstage promo next, which was awkward.
Written by Vince McMahon.
Yeah, it was complicated Kane verbiage, just eviscerate. Someone said I can't remember where they said it, but if you have to tell people you're a sick, depraved monster, you're not a sick, depraved monster, which was one of the lines in there. Red lighting behind him. It would have been good 10, 15 years ago.
You say 10, 15 years ago, but Kane was doing this. Do you remember when he was world champion and this was the promos that he got? He would do this in front of the live crowd, and the lights would go red and music would play while he was doing it. Oh man, it's really bad. Saturday morning cartoon villain Kane.
Yeah. But next up we had another of my favourite. This was probably my favourite segment in the whole show, actually. And it was Kurt Angle coming out to emotionally announce that because of his son's injury, he's going to pull him from Team Raw. But just before he gets to do it, Jason Jordan walks out, hobbling on his bad knee, already in tears, and he's saying on the microphone, "Don't do this to me, Dad. I'll never get a chance like this again. This is my dream." Not anything like, "Oh, well, Survivor Series, you'll get other opportunities." But then he says the line that cut through to me. I wanted to wrestle with my dad.
Yeah, great. That was a great line.
Yeah.
It's a terrible gimmick, but that's a great line.
And you think oh yeah, this rubbish storyline. Maybe you could make it work if you take this route. And but then he also did say, "It's the only chance I'll get to wrestle at the one time a year where Raw and SmackDown go head to head in direct competition."
Oh my god, that line. It was said so much throughout this show. And it's one thing when Michael Cole says it. It's another when Corey Graves says it. It's the dirt worst when your wrestlers say it. Because it never sounds natural.
No.
Oh, it was... No. Oh, it really did actually ruin the moment a little bit for me. And I've seen quite a few people online saying that Jordan's performance was really whiny and felt like a petulant teenager, but I thought it was great. I thought he really sold the character that he was playing. I got that too. I got that he was a petulant teenager, but I also got that he really wanted it. But those petulant teenager tendencies, I think that's the brilliant seeds for the heel turn on his dad. Yeah.
So Kurt Angle looked conflicted. Oh, this was the other killer line. You won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck.
I want to be just like you.
Yeah. And you just all the dynamics that are playing out there, like Kurt's hypocrisy. Is Kurt taking him off the team because he's overprotective of his son? Or, what I think is a lot more interesting, did Kurt take Jason off the team because he only found out about this son 3-4 months ago? He hasn't really lived up to the expectations. The honeymoon period's cooled off and he's like, "You're my son, but, you're not at this level." Mm-hmm. So, actually he's got doubts in his head and that's why he takes him off.
And that plays into, there's a moment, so Stephanie comes out and says, if you don't do, you need to do it now, Kurt. And then she walks away. And then Kurt tries to do it again, and all of a sudden Triple H's music hits.
Yes. Oh, so you carry on.
And out comes the game. And the game grabs the microphone and says, "If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it." And he turns around and says, the fifth member of Team Raw is me. And then there's a moment between Kurt and Triple H where they look at each other, and Kurt essentially just goes, "Do it."
He nods, exactly.
Yeah, and he nods. And this was clearly something that Triple H, that Kurt had planned when Stephanie first said, he's not good enough to be on Team Raw. Or even he might have been thinking it for the last week. Since he put him on the team, she's like, "I don't think this is the right move. I need a bigger star." And especially now they've announced John Cena. In kayfabe, that's kind of the way I'm reading the story.
And it's a great story. It's so deep. Everyone's got shades of good and right on all the sides. Jordan was given the place. And this is his dad. You think he's got his back. His dad, has accidentally fallen into a trap of nepotism, and now he's realised the errors of his ways for the better of the brand. Oh, it was really, really well done.
Yeah.
I picked up on that nod as well. I'm glad you mentioned it because I almost forgot it. Meltzer said in his review of the piece that he wishes Triple H didn't pedigree Jordan because it sort of buries Jordan. Not completely. And it also buries Kurt because Kurt didn't do anything to stop him. But it's all about that nod.
Yeah.
You've got to remember, he's the biological son, but he only found out about him 4 months ago. Like this, you're not going to have the same biological response to a kid you've raised from, just like 10 or a year. Maybe a year you would have, but 4 months and a disappointment.
And you've got to think that this is your first seed that's being sown for potentially their WrestleMania match of Kurt Angle versus Jason Jordan.
I think it'll be Kurt. Triple H is the root, apparently.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, why elevate new stars?
Yeah, that's another problem. But yes, I loved all of this. It was just... And that sort of nod plays into mob boss Kurt Angle that we saw the following night, like main event mafia Kurt Angle.
I hope
especially in the suit.
I hope then if we are going to get main event mafia Kurt Angle that he starts to grow his hair back again and grow his beard.
Yeah. Oh, he looks so good like that. But his teeth look too perfect, I always thought. Then we had a very good match from Samoa Joe. Well, not a very good match. It was just a solid match, but it told such a nice story.
Yeah.
It was Samoa Joe and Finn Balor working together, sworn enemies last week, Team Raw members this Sunday, so they're on a tag team here against Gil Anderson. Finn Balor, of course, against his usual brothers.
I was surprised they didn't play up more into that. They did a little bit on commentary. They said, they've got some history. But I thought that, Finn and Gil Anderson would have, a too sweet moment. I thought they were really going to play into it. And then, nope.
Or just Luke and Carl going, what are you doing with this guy? You should be with us.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But Finn and Joe, Joe was, I'm just going to be a professional. Because that's what he is. That's his character. He's like this hired muscle.
Yeah.
And he's just going to do this for the money. So he just does all he needs to do. And as soon as the bell rings and Finn Balor hits the coup de grace to win, he walks right out.
That was such a great character moment when he walked away. I loved that. Also, love Gil Anderson's new T-shirt with the nerdometer.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, it's like a dial thing, and it's just got nerds.
Yeah,
it's great.
And just the end sequence as well. With Balor and Joe working together. I think Joe dived through the ropes, and then Finn Balor... I was like, what do you call it? An uranagi? Uranagi. What am I talking about? Uranagi from Joe onto whoever, and then as Finn's getting up for the coup de grace onto the fallen Gil Anderson member, Joe's already dived out the ring to take out the other one. Slick.
Although there was something that I feel that commentary really did miss out on, is that Joe and Balor won the inaugural Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And, and if you'd have mentioned that, you probably could have told people to go subscribe to the network and go and watch it. But, I mean, we don't want to sell network subscriptions, so why bother?
Yeah, it's fair enough you ignore stuff that happened in NXT when it doesn't help, when it doesn't, fit continuity. But this really would have helped it. And like you said, yeah.
And also, that led to the start of their big program they had in NXT. You could really build on the animosity that they have with each other, not just from 1 week ago, but from 2 years ago. You could really build up on that, but no, it's Raw now. This is where things actually start to happen. This is day dot, and they've only had a week-long feud.
Everything is, they've got history. That's the only way we're going to... It's this blanket, mysterious thing over here.
Don't subscribe to the network for that. But Triple H is wrestling at the pay-per-view, so do subscribe to the network.
Alexa Bliss up next, backstage. Was it with Renee Young? I cannot remember.
I can't remember.
So probably not Renee Young.
I didn't write down who it was. I just wrote that Bliss cuts a promo on SmackDown.
Yeah, but it was a pretty decent promo saying she was the
goddess.
The goddess of SmackDown.
Said that she was going to be at SmackDown Live.
Yeah, she teased that, and of course she followed up on her promise.
Not really.
Spoiler, she turned up.
Well, yeah, but her thing was I might even there to watch live, which I thought was a missed moment.
Yeah, the Charlotte versus... Yeah, you're right, that would have been much better. But I also liked how they played the match in the end, because Charlotte and Natalya had a championship match on SmackDown, and the main event was...
Stiff monster action.
Braun Strowman versus Kane, in a match that didn't get started, although it definitely probably should have got started, because they were both in the ring, they were both staring at each other, there was a referee there, it was a build, advertised, promoted main event, but the referee did not ring the bell for a minute of them in the ring already. So the match officially never got started.
I'll be honest, I didn't even realise that the match hadn't started.
Yeah.
And until one of the commentators said, this match hasn't actually started. And then I was like, weren't they in the ring for ages?
Yeah.
Why hasn't this match started?
was a bit bizarre. And then I thought all the work that came afterwards, it was just felt a bit clunky.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed by this, and really, all it was building up to was that one big spot where Braun Strowman hit the running power slam to Kane through the ring, and the show just kind of ended from there.
Yeah.
And which is a shame, because then they did like that Raw, like what happened after the show, and Braun on YouTube, and Braun climbs out and does his big Braun celebration, and I'm like, that's a great ending to the show, not just like what happened to Braun, because at this point, I'm not meant to be thinking what happened to Braun. I'm meant to be thinking, what's going to happen at Survivor Series?
Yeah. Like, oh, Braun's amazing. He looks really strong. I mean, I would have flipped it. I would have had the Triple H announcement close the show.
Yeah.
It's just we've been spoilt with Braun matches, move aside Brock Lesnar, but like against the Big Show and Roman Reigns, we've had these really cool moments in Strowman matches. Ring collapsing, steel cages, ambulances, garbage trucks. And
You put me in a garbage truck.
Yeah.
Still my favourite line.
Although this, it's a good spot power putting someone in the ring canvas. We haven't seen that for a while. Just didn't click for me. Kane just they felt like two jigsaw pieces that do not fit, and someone was really trying to force them together with a steel chair.
It really felt like they suddenly realised that there isn't a Raw pay-per-view until Royal Rumble. But we've started the storyline, and we better do it before Survivor Series.
It's a Smackdown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
Smackdown the following night opened with Shane McMahon addressing the entire united Smackdown roster backstage. You had everyone there. Weirdly, some people had microphones with them. I thought they could, because it was like Shane was on a platform, like a little stage backstage, and he was giving this rallying address, and then he'll be like, Becky Lynch, Asuka said that she's gonna do something to you. What do you have to say to that? And then Becky Lynch, rather than just being someone in the crowd shouting, has a microphone.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit weird to me.
Yeah, the only thing she's going to break is her arm.
Her arm. And then, Baron Corbin said, well, I'm going to beat up The Miz, and New Day were like, we're going to beat up The Shield.
Yeah.
It was good, but it was a nice way to open SmackDown. It felt like it was under siege. They're all holed up in this room.
I thought it was a bit hokey.
Did you?
Yeah.
It is hokey. I enjoyed that. It's weird how I can love some hokey stuff, but then not love other hokey. This was the right side of hokey for me.
Yeah, no, this felt a little bit hokey to me. And also, no Jinder, Cena, Orton, or Nakamura, as far as I could tell, in the audience.
But there was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who were standing right at the back, right in the middle of the shot as well, like very intentionally, and they are just no-selling the entire thing, staring right into the camera.
Yeah, it was great.
Great work from them too. Now, I tell you who also wasn't there. Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
But he was the person who opened the show proper. In front of the live crowd, Daniel Bryan walked down to the ring, and he was very happy. And as I said in my SmackDown review, I was kind of like, but the coolest thing about Daniel Bryan recently was the tension with Shane McMahon. And now he's happy, he's come back. Is he not going to address any of this? And then he was like, let's bring out AJ Styles, and he did the Paul Heyman shtick for AJ Styles. He was AJ's advocate, and like we said earlier, really put over AJ's mental strength over Brock's physical strength. But later on, there was a backstage bit between Bryan and Shane McMahon where Bryan was like, once this Survivor Series stuff is over, we need to have a chat.
Yeah.
So that's got me excited for next week's episode of SmackDown.
Also got the debut of the greatest tag team in the world debuting next week.
Bludgeon Brothers, of course.
Big. Stop spoiling.
Oh, sorry, I
Got
keep spoiling it.
This was a pretty good promo by Daniel Bryan, with all things considered. I very much enjoyed it. There was a great line in here when he said that Brock just quit. Like, he quit WWE when he got bored. He quit to a half-assed knee bar in UFC, which I thought was a great line. I've written here, Daniel be shooting.
Yeah.
Nice shooting text.
A lot of people tweeted me and said there's a certain counter I should update based on those comments. And AJ afterwards walked backstage after his, God, he looks so good as champion. I'm so happy he's champion.
So good to have him back as champion.
And then, it was almost like I forgot the last 6 or so months, 170 days. AJ walks backstage after the promo, and backstage, Jinder's there waiting for him and says, I haven't forgotten about you. And I thought, I've forgotten about you, though. I really forgot. And just seeing Jinder not with the title, he looks so out of place near the title.
Yeah.
Like he should go straight back to the mid-card. Or, he wasn't even at the mid-card last time. But, God, it's like coming out of a foggy, bad dream of, like, looming depression where you can see clearly. And you're like, oh, that was a bad idea.
Yep.
Yeah, what did you think?
A complete waste of time. And that's the thing that bugs me the most. I was a bit pessimistic last week when I was talking about, they'll just put the title back on him. But it seems like, they cancelled one of the India dates, and the only India date they do have now is him against Triple H. And they've done a date in Abu Dhabi, which again is
it's Roman Reigns versus Triple H in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, so I was going to say,
sorry.
like Triple H again in the main events in Abu Dhabi. Because again, why elevate new stars?
Roman Reigns.
But like, it does appear that we are getting AJ as champion for a long time, and hot damn, good,
Yeah.
excellent. But it does highlight that it was just a big waste of time, and we could have actually had a really great year of a WWE Championship, particularly after the bad start we had. But nope, we had this Jinder experiments that went awry.
Imagine if you switched the WWE title and the US title and those programs.
Yeah.
Like AJ and Owens were allowed to have good main event matches for the WWE Championship.
Not switching the belt back and forth.
Yeah. Just sort out that feud. But they could. I reckon they've definitely got good matches in them. And Randy Orton is fighting Jinder for the United States title. It makes so much thematic sense.
It does, but Randy's not going to downgrade himself to that belt.
Cena did.
Yeah, but that's John Cena. John Cena's he's a company man. Randy Orton, that's below him.
He's just going to vape.
He's going to vape and
smoke it all up in electronic gas.
He's just going to vape and do less and less house shows.
Next up, we have Baron Corbin taking on Sin Cara for the United States Championship.
Ad break.
The most of this was an ad break, and it was the shrink into the corner ad break, so you could still watch the match. I've stopped watching the match that happens.
It's because it's nothing. It's like during ad breaks, wrestlers don't do anything because they know they're in the ad break, so they just do rest holds. So if the ad break is on, there's no point really watching any of the action because it's most likely just going to be a lot of rest holds.
Yeah,
or just one person getting the advantage and then doing some rest holds.
But when they came back, it was sort of like 3-4 minutes left, and I got into it. I thought Sin Cara was working very well. The moonsault to the outside was fantastic, and the finish of Baron Corbin just hitting the end of days. Was it the end of days?
End of days.
Yeah. I thought it was good, but it does mean Baron and Miz is still a thing that's happening.
Yeah, end of days from out of nowhere. It's like the new RKO. My notes here, and I think I said this last week as well, this feud would be so much more interesting if it was Ty Dillinger rather than Sin Cara.
It wouldn't.
Because, maybe this is a question I can have answered. Maybe we'll get this in Great Balls of Botch next time. But what is Sin Cara's finisher?
Mexican stuff.
I'm sure if you go on to WWE 2K18, it will tell you, but I don't think I've ever seen him hit a move that you would say, that's Sin Cara's finisher. Wikipedia tells us it's a senton.
That was the reason for that little break there. A bathroom break, as it were, which is what the match at Survivor Series will probably end up being.
Of all the matches on that card, yeah, absolutely. It's the one that I'm least interested in.
On the main card. So we've got Enzo versus Kalisto on the pre-show. Apparently another elimination match is going to be added.
Oh, right. Maybe
on
a
the
tag
Raw
team one.
Smackdown theme.
Maybe a tag team one,
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know if you've got any tag teams left apart from Galanderson, Rhino, and Heath Slater.
Fashion Police versus Galanderson.
Yeah, I could go for
Comedy match.
I suppose, actually, speaking of Kalisto, did you watch 205 Live? I know that we don't watch it a lot, but they were celebrating Kalisto's birthday.
Yeah.
And I know ratings aren't great for 205 Live, so they're just pulling out the big guns at the moment by having a birthday celebration for one of the least popular people on the roster.
It could be really good, though. Like, if Drew Gulak's in there, I bet it's hilarious. Next up, we had Charlotte versus Natalya for the women's title in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte's hometown or conceived town? I don't know if it's a Beckham thing or a Flair thing.
I'm not entirely certain myself. What I do know is that there was another ad break. So, fun fact for you, of the 4 matches that were on SmackDown Live this week, all 4 of them had ad breaks.
When I wrote my review, I initially had Smackdown. Right, so, the top rating. And then I went through again, I was like, I can't give a Smackdown to a wrestling show that doesn't have one super amazing match on.
Yeah. And I think it's because with the Shane hokiness at the start and then the Daniel Bryan AJ stuff afterwards, I think that was like the first 16 to 20 minutes of TV.
Yeah.
So after that, you're like, okay, well, we've got the wrestling, but that's where we need to put our ad breaks in.
Yeah, I wish they took ad breaks in promos. Come back and it's still Triple H talking for 20 minutes. But this match, then I said there's no fantastic matches on this show. This was a great match. I'm just saying it wasn't like one of the matches of the year, which would what it would have to be.
A shame it wasn't on pay-per-view.
Yeah, but this was really, really good. I really just thought in my head, well, it's Charlotte's hometown. There's no chance she's winning. And then when Natalya got her into the sharpshooter after a great powerbomb into the turnbuckle outside spot.
Yeah, great.
There was loads of nice little bits. Then Charlotte got her in the figure eight and made Natalya tap. Really nice moment. But the match was really good, but it was the post-match that I really, really, really loved. And it was Charlotte saying, I dedicate this title to my dad. He's not here because he's been unwell, but he's watching from home. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Rick. And I genuinely bought into that. I didn't. Did you have an inkling?
No, absolutely not at all. And then you tell what happened, then I'll give my piece.
Yeah, and then you're like, of course they're going to bring back Ric Flair after those words. So she's walking up the ramp, and then Ric Flair's entrance music hits. He comes out, floods of tears. Charlotte's already in floods of tears. They hug. He raises her hand. In Charlotte, North Carolina, Flair country, I loved it.
This was, someone was cutting some onions close by, making lasagna.
I left the window open and it was raining directly onto my face.
Yeah, there was an inflammation in my tear gland.
Yeah.
So, I thought the moment was absolutely magical. Here's my one thing.
Ooh.
I wish Alexa Bliss had ruined it. I know that it was such a perfect moment, and it was a really organic moment as well, because it was nice to see Rick come back and for them to have their moment together. And I'm so glad that they didn't do this. But I was thinking afterwards, man, the heat Alexa Bliss would have got if she'd have ruined this segment. Or if if Rick's music had played and then Alexa Bliss had come out instead doing the Flair strut. Like that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, it would have been horrible and I would have hated it, but it probably would have been good as well.
Someone wrote, imagine the heat Dolph Ziggler would get if he came out as Ric Flair.
Oh man, he might have actually got some heat.
Yeah. Oh, he got heat. Stop being down on that bit. I know what you're saying, and it would be, but sometimes, and I could, any other day maybe I would have agreed with you, but I think this was such a lovely moment. Sometimes just have the lovely moment. Other times, ruin the lovely moment. Yeah. That's also great. Like with the Sami Zayn title win, Kevin Owens powerbomb, back in NXT. Or the DIY, celebration back in NXT. A lot of turning people in NXT.
Well, actually, and as another NXT example, to build up to your point as well, and to very much agree with your point, I remember when they were doing the very first Dusty Rhodes Invitational or Classic Tag Team Tournament, whatever the hell they call it, there was a lot of people speculating that this was going to be the debut of the Balor Club, and the Balor was going to turn on Joe, they were going to win, and they were going to do this big beatdown spot. And in the end, Balor and Joe won. They got their trophy. They posed in the ring with Cody and Goldust, and it was lovely. And it was just a really, really nice moment, and the crowd were well happy and well into it. And I remember Brian Alvarez at the time going like, you know what? I'm glad they didn't do an angle, because this was just really nice.
Yeah, sometimes it's just better. Yeah. Have you heard Goldust is going to be ringside for War Games?
Is he really?
Yeah,
very nice.
A tribute to his father.
They did an excellent video package on War Games on last week's NXT TV show.
I'll check it out.
It's marvellous.
Yeah, I do agree with you, though. This is the go-home show. And you've made a much better match, because I'm more into the face of Charlotte versus heel Bliss dynamic. But it would have been better if Alexa ruined a match or cost Charlotte, who was already champion, the match. And you had this Ric Flair moment at a pay-per-view. That's what I think. It's a way to have both... Keep us both happy.
Absolutely, yeah. Well,
compromise.
Compromise.
Halfway happy.
Exactly.
To quote Stranger Things Series 2. But yes, I loved it, regardless. Do you want to talk about the next bit?
Well, the Bludgeon Brothers cut another brilliant promo out in the woods, filmed amazingly in their brilliant costumes and their amazing hammers. Their gimmick is alive and well. There was naysayers last week. I got a lot of messages from people saying that the gimmick is dead because they did a house show where they just came out to Luke Harper's music wearing their regular attire. But long live the Bludgeon Brothers, and they're here next week, hammers and all, I bloody hope.
cameras beware, because they're tearing through WWE's production department pretty quickly. It was they did the similar thing to Stephanie McMahon, the Columbo just warm up. You know, they were walking off after they said their mean things, and oh no, wait, we've got to destroy the camera. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut one of these days like that.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love the Bludgeon Brothers. Great stuff.
I mean, they're not debuting.
No,
This will be a month away.
You reckon this is Empolina all over again?
Well, it'll be Fashion Files. I know WWE. They're not going to stick to something they've announced. Don't take that as confirmation of anything. After this, we had Chad Gable losing to Jimmy Uso. I think it was Jimmy Uso.
It was Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, because Jay was injured. Luckily, it seems to be in storyline, or maybe it was a little niggle, and he's just taken this week off, so he's good for Survivor Series.
I thought it was Jimmy that was hurt, and I thought that he was getting his retribution on Chad Gable in this match.
I did research this, so I didn't, because I thought that I was like, I don't want to say this in the review and it be wrong, so I researched who did what, and it's the way I'm saying it.
You sure?
Well, now you're making me doubt it.
Well, no, the only reason I did that is because I thought it was Jimmy, the one that was hurt, because I've written in here, he's gone for the knee. That's really good in-ring storytelling.
No, I think it was just avenging his brother.
No, I mean, like, Chad was going for his knee.
Oh, you're just going for knees all of... Oh, damn, maybe I got it wrong then. I did check it, though. Balls. Yep, great balls of botch for next episode. Spoiler.
One of us is wrong.
Yeah, this was good. Nothing spectacular. Gable is showing those heel tendencies still. Shelton Benjamin got involved behind the referee's back too. But it's one of the feuds that has been quite negatively impacted by Survivor Series. I think storylines are doing well in the background, but actual feuds, like you've been saying, are now awkwardly stumbling along under the heavy weight of Survivor Series.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'm excited for after Survivor Series when they get to go at it properly.
I just want to hear the Usos cut more promos, and I loved the point they made as to, like, at last year's Survivor Series during the tag team match, it came down to two teams, the Usos and the Bar. Look at us again this year, both the champions, and we're going to dare it up again.
I didn't think of that. Next up, we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens back from being sent home from the European tour, and they were sort of being moany backstage about how it should be the Kevin and Sammy show. No, the Sammy and Kevin show.
I was going to say, I love the fact that Kevin always calls it the Sammy and Kevin show, and Sammy always calls it the Kevin and Sammy show. It's great because they're best friends.
Yeah,
they're super best friends.
And they're like, you know, when you're in a little bubble and you feel like everyone's against you. I totally get that from these two.
Yeah,
where they're just being psychotic over the top. When they just need to, like, grow up and sit down and go, we can move past this.
Yeah.
But that's not as good storytelling and not as dramatically interesting. But they said it's about them, not SmackDown. It's their show, not the SmackDown show. So if that's not foreshadowing for what's going to happen at Survivor Series, I don't know what is. And the main event was New Day getting their revenge for not getting a beatdown on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens last week by having the main event. They were going pretty good. It was a fine match, nothing spectacular, until the Shield came out. Or do you want to talk about the New Day promo?
I did want to talk about the New Day promo because there was a line in here that I really enjoyed when they were talking about how the Shield are, like, multi-time world champions, but, like, between us, we got, like, I can't remember the number. They said, like, we got all these championships, although that is mostly Kofi.
Yeah.
Then Biggie just goes, yep, he's very good.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed.
There was also the pointing out of, we've never turned on each other.
Yeah.
And they have.
Although, foreshadowing.
Yeah, I never even thought about a New Day breakup until they said that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never thought about it either. And as soon as they started, I was like, they're turning on each other at some point.
That's a lie, because I think I did a podcast with Finn Martin last year about how the New Day should break up and how Xavier Woods should be. But I think we both agreed it should just be an amicable split.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was a good promo as always. The match was fine, but it wasn't about the match. It was about the Shield telling the production guy to play their music and then interrupt.
Not just play their music, to make sure that their name gets put up on the screen and on the ring LED screen as well. Like, you've got to make sure that people know that it is the Shield, not just by the music.
And you've also got to let everyone in the audience know 2 minutes before it happens when security start clearing the way, because the previous night that guy in the blue shirt tried to... Did you see that?
Yeah,
tried to come down to the ring with them.
I think that's actually a very smart thing that security are doing now, because otherwise you end up with... Do you remember the woman who kept trying to show her butt to Shane McMahon?
Twerking. Yeah.
I'm sure her mother's proud.
Yes. I forgot about her. But this was, Shield came out. They came straight down. They did the Shield, get up onto the ring apron. And for a moment there, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn stood side by side with the New Day. And I'm such a sucker, aren't I? I'm
Oliver
such
Davis.
a sucker. I thought for a moment that they were gonna help out.
No,
I know they weren't going to, but there was something in my heart that was like, maybe they're gonna come good.
No.
And then oh man, when they do turn babyface as a tag team, that's gonna be a glorious day. But they, of course, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn bailed. Correctly this time, I assume. Haven't heard anything that they've been sent home.
They were meant to say that. Maybe that's why the camera cut away so quickly.
Yeah, it was a weird cut. And they walked out, leaving the New Day to get beaten up by the Shield. The Usos run down. And then there was, I mentioned this in the review, there were so many nice character moments, because you've got all of these sides, these two separate sides, that never interact. But there's existing history there. And they can tell. It's amazing how action and not words can tell stories so well in just a few moments. I think that's what WWE forgets a lot with their reliance on promos. But Usos came down, and Roman Reigns is the first to confront them, and there's 2 seconds pause, because of course they're family in real life. They're Us.
Well, they were a unit at one point when they were feuding with AJ Styles way back when.
Yeah, definitely. And then it was Dean and Seth who attacked the Usos.
Yeah.
And then everyone was running in, cut backstage. The Raw women burst into the SmackDown ladies' locker room and beat them all up there. Asuka was killing someone, I think. And Charlotte got properly decked out by Alexa Bliss. So she was there, but she was just a bit late.
Yeah.
I mean, it would...
Ubers aren't that reliable.
Yeah, it would ruin the show's structure, I guess, because as soon as Alexa Bliss was there in that point of the show...
Yeah.
You couldn't have that big reveal later.
Maybe.
But then loads of Raw members were there. Titus O'Neil was very prevalent. And at first I thought, why is Titus O'Neil getting so much action time? And I thought he was the first person him and
Apollo
Crews were the first people that got attacked.
It's
so
very
actually
true,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, where was Hunter?
Yeah, but you can ask where was Hunter and where was John Cena. I think that's fine, they're not there, right? Fair enough.
But this is the problem when you do build your match around part-timers, because then you are asking people to get very invested in this Raw v SmackDown thing where, 40% of the people that are in the match weren't actually involved in this end angle. Yeah,
now you're saying it. It's this was really good, but think how incredible it would be if both those guys were there.
Yeah.
I mean, the real annoying thing is that Autumn wasn't there. Because he should have been there. But there's no reason.
Although if I'm Randy Orton and I get told what's going to happen, and especially when you see what happened to poor old Nakamura, who was just made to look like a complete chump, they're like, I'm not doing that. And you're Randy Orton, you've got that sway. It's I'm not looking like a dick in front of all my friends.
Yeah, I guess so, dick. Assholes. But then, the Kurt Angle comes out in his mob boss outfit. And then he's a little head nod, and then out comes Braun. I was like, yeah, Braun's music is playing.
Who also told the production people to play the music and put the graphics up.
Yeah, and they must have been sending files to the SmackDown production crew all day, the Raw team, because you've got to download that
I was going to say, do you not think they've got a shared Google Drive that they just take things from?
I hope not. I would want Raw and SmackDown's filing system to be separate.
Yeah.
I want it to go right down.
Treat them like actual separate brands.
Everything. And Braun just came down and destroyed everyone, Shinsuke Nakamura included. That was it. They 2 triple power bombs under Shane McMahon, with Kurt Angle being do this.
Because he is the star.
Mm-hmm. And then Kurt hit him with an Olympic slam as well. But Kurt looked so cool here, and he was just picking up Shane's face, this is what you made me do. I loved it when I watched it. When I sort of rewatched it after the fact to do the review, I loved it even more. I love it even more every time I think about it. It's different enough to the Raw invasion where it feels good. It was such this is the go home angle. Like, WWE have been terrible at go home shows all year. I can't think of a genuinely good one. This one was perfect, apart from AJ Cena and Orton missing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
But which show was better? It's a tough one. We don't know which ones we're going to pick. Vote in the poll above our head, because this does play into the overall WrestleRamble war between us two. So you voted. I'm going to say Smackdown.
See, I'm going to say Raw.
Are you really?
I'm really going to say Raw because, although that end angle was awesome, that's all the show was.
The Charlotte title win?
Yeah, there was that as well.
The opening Daniel Bryan promo?
Yeah,
Bludgeon Brothers.
Well, the Bludgeon Brothers. I mean, when they debut next week, obviously SmackDown's going to win. But for me, I thought Raw had more going for it. I really liked the Kurt segment. Really enjoyed the Balor Joe tag team thing. For all of its faults, I quite enjoyed Braun power slamming Kane through the ring. I thought it was more enjoyable stuff on Raw. SmackDown for me was just it was that title win and the closing promo. Everything else, it's as you said. It's a wrestling show, but there wasn't actually any wrestling on there to kind of sink your teeth into.
Yeah, the Shield match was really good on Raw. I mean, I'm not saying SmackDown was loads better. They were neck and neck.
Absolutely, I get that, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, or if anyone disagrees with me, which I imagine everyone, well, the majority will. I think
hope so.
I think you are going to win the poll, hand over fist. But I don't disagree with any person there. It's just for me, it was one angle.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. What a cracking few weeks of WWE television. Let's hope it continues to Survivor Series. Our predictions for that will be up on Saturday, so make sure you watch that. Or on Friday for Patreon.
Patreon backers, $5 Patreon backers can see this weekend's WrestleRamble, our Survivor Series predictions, a whole day early.
And what else do you get if you're a $5 backer?
You also get access to our exclusive WrestleRamble Extra podcast, where this month we're going to be reviewing Survivor Series 1998. It's the Deadly Games! And that is wrestling-wise, it's not a great show, but storyline-wise, pretty great show.
You've just put off so many people from doing that with your voice thing.
Well, with the Deadly Games!
You've done it again.
And we've also got reviews up there for Money in the Bank with John Cena versus CM Punk, and Halloween Havoc 1998 with the -5-star classic between Hulk Hogan and The Warrior.
And those are meaty reviews. They're 2.5 hours long each, so you get your money's worth.
You do get your money's worth.
But that's all we've got time for, like I said. So click the videos that have just appeared over Luke's head to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news or WrestleRamble. Support WrestleTalk and order issue 1 of the WrestleTalk magazine. Subscribe to this channel for the drive to 500,000 subscribers, and subscribe to this podcast on your chosen podcast provider. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. I think I did that the wrong way round, and that was rambling.